Let's bow our heads, please. Our most precious Heavenly Father, be with us tonight as we do the business for the town of Benson and for the people of Benson. Guide us in the way that we should go, and when we're making mistakes, kind of tap us on the shoulder and say, hey, go do that again. But we're here for the business that is going to do and grow and grow in the years to come. So it's so important, as every meeting that we have is important. So be with us, guide us, and direct us as we have it go, and forgive us of our sins, and be with the ones that can't be here tonight. In God's name we pray. Amen. Let's pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Public comments. Anyone wishing to address the board or asked to provide their name and address for the record, come forward.
I don't know if I'm supposed to be the one coming up here or not, but I'm here.
Give us your name and address for the record.
Beverly Lynn Baggett, 1806 NC Highway 242 North, Benson. I'm here to apply a permit for a plaque I want to put at the Civic Center. As y'all know, it used to be a school, and who it was for. I want to put a plaque there. I can pass it around, let you see it. In loving memory of Mr. Alexander Haley, author of the book miniseries Roots, August 11th, 1921, I'm not sure, February 10th, 1992. But blood is thicker than water. Water simply dilutes. The family tree cannot stand if it has no roots. Beverly Lynn Baggett. Thank you, Mr. Haley. And my plea is that you will allow me to have, I'm having the sign made, because if y'all say no, I'll go somewhere else. But I think it's a good idea, and I think it's a worthy cause. So I'm here to do my part.
Give it to the clerk, and the town manager will get in touch with you.
I have her number. Yeah. Yeah. Hey.
Let me ask, what school is this for?
She wants it at the Civic Center at Parks and Rec.
It used to be a school.
Yeah, I remember when it used to be a school, but
She wants to do it like in memory or like,
We'll take a look at you
She's-
talking about this.
they want to know
Oh,
why you wanted to do it, Miss
we'll look at
Beverly.
Because when I was young, I played baseball with boys, and we all were down there, and that school has always touched my heart. And I should have said something then, I guess, but I was a little too young to understand what I wanted to say. And I'm sorry it's taken this long for me to come forward. But I feel that is the only right thing to do in memory and in honor of those who went to that school.
The board will take a look at it, and we'll give you a call back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else wishing to address the board, come forward, give us your name and address. The Cycle North Carolina announcement, Kimberly.
When we start November? When do we start talking about this?
Yeah, it's been about 6 months.
It's been about 6 months. Miss Donna Bailey Taylor from the Tourism Board, myself, Matt Smith, her team at the Tourism Board have been talking with Cycle NC, and I sent you guys this in an email, but and they wanted to make Benson a destination for their ride in 2024, and so we had really Donna's team had more conversations. We had a couple, one on-site meeting, and not right before Christmas, and they loved the community park. That's where they're talking about having the stop and just the atmosphere of Benson. And so we wanted to show this video so everybody can see it and kind of get an idea of what Cycle NC is, what it brings to the community. It is they'll be here one day and then they're gone. But it's a really big thing in the cycling world, and so I'm really excited about the fact that they chose Benson as a destination. Did you want to say?
You're doing great.
And the tourism board has done an amazing job working on this. We're not the first county not the first town in the county that's been able to have this come through, but for me, I think this is a big thing for Benson, because especially with the social district coming on board, we can really welcome these people here. So we're going to play the video for everybody.
Hi, I'm Whit Tuttle, the Executive Director of Visit North Carolina. I'm excited to have the opportunity to announce the route for the 25th annual Cycle North Carolina Mountains to the Coast Cross-State Bicycle Tour. Cycle North Carolina was created in 1999 by Visit North Carolina, the NC Department of Transportation, Capital Broadcasting Company, and North Carolina Amateur Sports. And it continues to annually host one of the largest and most successful cross-state bicycle tours in the United States. More than 3,000 participants from more than 40 states and various countries travel to North Carolina each year to participate in Cycle North Carolina events. The Mountains to Coast Tour is a week-long bicycle tour across North Carolina that showcases the state's scenic beauty, heritage tourism, visitor attractions, historic sites, and state parks. During the past 24 years, Cycle North Carolina has stopped overnight in more than 100 North Carolina towns, and it's visited over 800 communities as we've made our way across the state. Each overnight stop and the numerous small towns along the route feel the economic impact generated by the event, with many of the local businesses experiencing their largest sales day of the year. The Cycle North Carolina Mountains to the Coast route changes each year, and it's my pleasure to announce that the 2024 route will begin in Spruce Pine, North Carolina. Spruce Pine's charming downtown is situated in the heart of the Blue Ridge Mountains and on the banks of the North Toe River. And just across the river is Riverside Park, which will serve as the launching point for the 2024 Mountains to Coast Tour. The route on day one travels through the Pisgah National Forest, ending in the North Carolina foothills region in the small town of Lenoir, North Carolina. Lenoir boasts more than 50 Christmas tree farms and is home to the annual Blackberry Festival. The route on the second day will take cyclists on rolling hills as the terrain begins to flatten out a bit. Statesville will host the third overnight stop on the tour. Statesville is home to the Carolina Balloon Fest, the second oldest hot air balloon festival in the country. On day three, cyclists will go through Lexington, otherwise known as the barbecue capital of the world, and end at the fourth overnight stop, Thomasville. Known for extensive furniture and cabinetry manufacturing, this will be Thomasville's second time hosting an overnight stop. Don't forget to stop by the Big Chair in downtown. On day 4, the route continues south of the Piedmont Triad region of North Carolina through many small farming towns, ending in the 5th overnight stop on the tour, Pittsboro. Hosting an overnight stop for the first time, Pittsboro features a charming downtown anchored by the historic Chatham County Courthouse, which was built in 1881. The route on day 5 meanders south of Jordan Lake and Sharon Harris Reservoir, ending in another first-time host town, Benson. Situated in the southwest section of Johnston County and just east of Campbell University, Benson's entire downtown business district is on the National Register of Historic Places. On day 6, the route will pass through the town of Roseboro, which hosted one of the most popular rest stops in the history of the tour. The 7th overnight town is Elizabethtown, which features a number of different attractions, including Cape Fear Vineyard and Winery, Jones Lake State Park, White Lake, and Browns Creek Nature Park and Bike Trail. The final day of the tour heads 65 miles through the coastal plain region, ending in Ocean Isle Beach. Known as the gem of Brunswick County, this small barrier island is famous for its beautiful beaches, and it'll serve as the ending location for the 2024 Mountains to Coast Tour. This Spruce Pine to Ocean Isle Beach route will showcase more than 400 beautiful scenic miles of North Carolina to visitors from across the United States and multiple countries. Congratulations to each town that has been selected as an overnight stop in 2024. We know that you'll roll out the red carpet to welcome participants to your communities and to our state. Registration is now open for the 2024 Cycle North Carolina Mountains to the Coast event, so come and join me on the ride by visiting ncsports.org to register now. You can also register for the Cycle North Carolina
stop it now.
Mountain Weekend Tour in beautiful Murphy, North Carolina.
So they'll be coming through on a Thursday. We'll start seeing riders come in around noon. That's usually when the first rider comes through. You will not only just see the bicyclists, but their family also travels with them too. So we already have both hotels, the Hampton and the Holiday Inn, because the Holiday Inn should be opening before Mule Day, so like towards August, the end of August. We've already got both hotels blocked off with rooms for this event, so that's occupancy tax dollars for the town. And then we will filter, they'll stop at VS Park. They'll use the multi-purpose field to camp out. There'll be some spots. Some of them have self-sustained RVs. They'll bring those. They'll have food in the gym. But then we'll also kind of gravitate them towards Railroad Street to utilize some of our stores or all of our stores downtown. And so that's sales tax revenue that's going to be coming into us. So I'm really excited about this. I hope y'all are. It really, I think, puts us on the map. More so than what we already are. So, you want to say anything else?
I've already responded to Whit Tuttle, who is the CEO of Visit NC, that I'm really excited that Cycle NC is coming to my hometown, and I know how much we're going to open our doors to welcome them, and we have some plans already we're thinking about, so really excited that we'll have about 900 people come through in one day, and eat and drink and shop, and it's going to be a really nice economic impact for you.
So they reached out to you about,
We work with Cycle NC. We've been working with them for about 5 years. Now that some of our parks can accommodate that many people, they've been in Clayton for an overnight, they've been in Smithfield for an overnight, and we've been pitching Benson for some time, waiting until your park was completed and you had some fields to get ready, and as soon as we knew we could bring them down here and take a look, they really loved it. Everything can be real contained right there at the park, so they're really excited about it.
Donna, what highways will they be coming in on?
I haven't seen the final route. There'll be a couple of more visits from the people who put that together, but they're coming from Pittsburgh. So there's some back ways they stay off major interstates, obviously, but they'll come the back roads. Maybe. They'll be here October the 10th is the night they'll be spending the night here in Benson. So they'll get in, like I say, 12, 1 o'clock. There'll be lunch. There'll be, food trucks. It's like a little city. They move an entire city to support these riders that come through. It's amazing to watch. They'll have showers. They'll have people that work on bicycles. They'll have a moving caterer that comes with them. They'll have people who set up portable tents. Some people can spend a little bit more and don't have to set up their tent. There's companies that do that for them. So it's a moving city that'll go across the state of North Carolina.
Any questions? Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
The department reports, is any of the commissioners have any questions of those groups? They're all here, mostly. New business. Consider approval of qualifications from the wastewater treatment plant upgrade. Jay Murray.
Jay is actually, he is not here. He potentially has been exposed to COVID, so, this is for the engineering of the expansion of the wastewater treatment plant. We've been working with the Wooten Company on our own call, for the expansion. This is the $22 million that's state appropriated funds. But because it's state appropriated, we had to put it out for bid for qualifications. And so Jay is recommending that we continue working with the Wooten Company on this project, as they've already seen us through a great deal as it is already. Again, we haven't expended any funds on this as of yet, but he's asking that we continue moving forward.
Consider approval of task order 5
Well,
additional work.
I need a vote on this first.
Huh?
I need a vote on this first.
Oh, we need to approve this?
Yes, sir.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Any questions?
Yeah, what do we foresee the cost will be?
This is just a qualification, so we've got an estimated cost in the budget for them. If you'll give me just a second, I'll pull it up.
Yeah, this is just going through the people that works there and it gives all their qualifications.
Right, yeah, yeah, for them to continue.
Do an RFQ, when you, it's a mini Brooks Act requirement, so you have to, when you hire an engineer, certain skilled, help for projects like that, engineer's the most classic one, you don't do a bid, so you don't ask them to submit a bid for what they would charge you to do the engineering work. You submit a request for qualifications, because you don't have to necessarily pick the lowest bid or responsive bidder. You pick the one you feel the most comfortable with. So
Right.
this is you approving that Wooten has the qualifications to do the engineering work on that project.
Right.
Is that something new?
No, it's not. It's just we can't use our own call contract for this particular project.
On bigger projects, you should do an RFQ every time you do one. On smaller stuff, we already did an RFQ for the on-call project, which is periodically relet.
Mhm.
That was subject to a process last year, right, for smaller engineering tasks. For the larger ones, with any kind of grant or other government funding, you're going to have to do RFQs on them.
So in
Anybody
the,
else? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Okay, now consider approval of task order 5. Kim?
so Aaron and I are gonna do this one together. This is for the additional work on the UDO. Here, let me go up here with Aaron. And we have, no, you're fine. We have, 2 members of Withers Ravenel here. But this is to continue, and this is kind of where the question's gonna come in of how do you want us to proceed with the UDO? Obviously, we've expended everything from the contract, and so now it's kind of going to the on-call contract that we have with them. So we'd have to pay them hourly for continuation on the UDO. So how do we want to proceed? They actually have the live and breathing document. It was going to have like subtext in there, so like it would say, for more information, click here, and then it would take you to that. I don't know that. I know I don't have the capacity to do that. I don't know if Aaron can do that. But I mean, they do have that live and breathing document that's going to have to be changed as we continue to have conversations on the UDO. I know there's been conversations of having the planning board help us with the UDO. Is that a joint meeting with the board? Are we gonna, do y'all wanna do that the second meeting in January and the second meeting in February? We just need to have some sort of clarification on how we proceed. But if we proceed with Withers Ravenel, we'll have to approve this document. And they're here as well if you have questions for them.
Well, it's a bit of misunderstanding about this because when this was discussed before, when it was rejected, was that they were gonna look at parts of the county and see if we could use that as the guidelines for the industrial part of it. And, you know, I don't think anything's been done since the last meeting. If it has, I don't know about it.
So
We're
is that
wasting
something-
time.
I mean, we don't have, I'd like to know, you know, what direction you want to go in. Is that, so are you saying that you want to take what the county has in their unified development ordinance and adopt it?
No, I'm not
into the
saying
town?
anything. I'm just saying what was said at the last meeting, that we were gonna look at what that looks like. Nobody had, you know, that had worked on this, had looked at anything there. We're off somewhere else looking that didn't match up to us. And as far as I know, the only one that's taken a look at it is William, and he's not here now, but Dale had already had gotten the whole thing and had gone through it and has his ideas. But we got to sit down and look at this and decide which way you want to go. What the way it was headed, the way the board said, let's take a look at it in a different direction.
Are you, and I think that's our question, are you gonna do that as a staff and a board, or a staff and a board and the planning board? Are we keeping Withers Ravenel with us to do that process? Because if we do, we've got to approve a task order because they'll have to start paying us the hourly rate, or charging us the hourly rate, because the contract has been extended. I mean, we've gotten to the point of the contract, correct?
Right,
Yeah.
right. I'm not sure what the exact numbers are at this point from when Karen came on the 28th, but if you all recall, we had a rearrangement of the funds that were left over, and so items were moved from one line item in the original contract to another line item. And I believe that was about $3,000 or so, $7,000. So I don't believe we've expended all of that. This task order would be for any services outside of what's left over from the original contract. And as Kim stated, it would be based on an hourly as needed rate not to exceed $12,000 for roughly about 6 months.
Just for bearings, what, you know what the hourly rate is?
It
on your
depends.
thing, it's on the exhibit I in your packet.
Depending on what the
Depends on
task.
what they're doing and who's doing it.
Max, it's kinda like the hourly rate that we got from Wooten too. They've got a layout of just hundreds of dollars for which area that you need to go into. If you need an engineer, his rate's $300 an hour or $200 an hour. And I looked over it and, but as far as this goes, I think the contract was for $109,000. Is that not a
102.
$102,000? But that was just with Rithers. So the time and the effort in the last, y'all saying 18 months that's been put in this,
About 15 months.
15 months, that has nothing to do, that's just with Rithers, right?
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with.
Well, with the steering committee.
With anybody else that has put in the time, on this whole project.
Well,
They were the only consultant
Right.
that worked on it. They didn't have if you remember with the comprehensive land use plan, Withers was the lead consultant, and then they had a sub-consultant that did the transportation arm of it. But for the development code, it was solely Withers Ravenel, with a steering committee that was made up of residents and business owners, things like that, in the town of Benson, as well as staff from various departments. But they were the sole consultant for that project.
I mean, you would think of Karen as like the project manager of this. She's the one who led the steering committees. She was at all the public events. I mean, she came here a couple of times and presented to the board some changes that were as we went through the process. So Karen has been with us from day one, and it's been Karen and her team, and then the steering committee and staff. But that contract, I mean, we reappropriated the funds, but we're gonna run out of that, and it's not gonna be enough to finish it at this point, from what we're understanding, depending on how you wanna proceed further.
Well, if we're gonna run out of funds,
We're gonna run out of the contract. So we've got
okay,
to have a
if we're gonna
secondary.
run out of the contract, we need to know what's left on it, and then where the other monies come from. If we can, if we can't afford to carry it any further in our own finances, I mean, if you told me right now, oh, we're gonna pull the money out of general funds and be able to handle up to $12,000, that would be one thing, but I don't know that you can tell me that tonight.
Well, that's where it would have to come from, is general fund. It would have to come out of general fund.
Okay.
We'd have to amend her professional services line item to account for this, because I would hope it'd be done by the fiscal year would be complete. So that would probably have to pull it from a different line item.
We may need to look at the audit first before we look at this.
You can, yeah. They'll be here at the next meeting.
I'm asking you, do we need to go forward with this, knowing that we may not be able to pay for the extended fees to them?
I think that you'll be able to pay for it. That's not a concern. You'll have to pull it from another line item. You'll have to amend the budget. You'll have to pull it from another line item and put it in professional services.
I got a question, because I think we all can agree that we were fine for it with the residential part of it.
Right.
And it's just mainly industrial and commercial. How hard is it to, and obviously we need to do something, but to approve it and then go back and amend it and have this later on? I don't know how, as far as the commercial and industrial.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, I'll let Aaron speak to that.
If we do that, it'll be another 15 months.
We gotta have,
Well, it would be a
Withers
text
Ravenel to do
amendment.
that?
It would be a text amendment. It depends on what you want to look at for industrial. Are we talking about on the permitted land use table, how they are approved? Are you talking about what's centered on the conversation in December when it was regarding perimeter buffers?
Like
and
buffers or something
and,
like that. How hard would that be to amend it?
Well, we've taken that out already.
But I'm just using that for example for anything else.
It takes just time to research what you want to put in there, and then you conduct a public hearing. You would want to do research. I would, hope that before it's brought to the board that you all are aware of what we're proposing, maybe work with whomever is going to do that, whether it's the planning board take the lead, is it Withers Ravenel that will take the lead, staff, you all take the lead on that. Right. However you want that process to look and truly identify what you want the industrial standards to be, because it's sort of vague. There could be industrial land use tables. What are the industrial standards do you want? Like I said, we've already removed from the proposed budget the building design standards, which that wasn't solely for industrial, that was non-residential, so that encompassed, industrial, commercial, multifamily. And so, just specifically so I think that the time factor is how in-depth do you want to,
Right.
look at those non-res, is it specifically industrial? Like, what do you really want?
Right.
I think, and then, going to hearing, that's a process that you have to advertise and conduct a hearing, things like that. So getting to the hearing, I don't think is the issue. I think what precedes that and putting in the work to decide what you want in the development code is where that time factor will come from.
Aaron, let me ask you something. At our last meeting in December, when Ms. Maxine made a motion to approve the UDO, and she never got any response from it, because prior to that, William Neighbors and Max was talking about these 10 things that we had discussed, that Mr. Parker had talked about. And I thought it was kind of decided then that those 10 things would be looked at, and we could go ahead and do the UDO. I thought after we did not approve the approval, that one of them were going to make a motion to add those items to that and go ahead and approve something, because we had talked about what Dean was talking about right then, as far as can we go and amend something down the road that we may have missed. And it was, well, yeah, you can, but you have to go through the right proceedings to do that.
Correct.
So I felt kind of bad when I left here, because we had not really given you something to go on as far as who was going to make that decision. But I really think they said, look, we're in competition with the county, with Johnson County. Everything that comes into Benson, we're in competition with Johnson County. So I thought that you were told at that time to check with Johnson County and see what their UDO reads. And if they will allow something to come in at this price, and we're putting it up here where commercial, industrial is not interested, then we needed to kind of level this thing off. Is that what? I didn't get it.
I think what she's asking is, well, I don't want to speak for you.
I'm not sure about the, it wasn't a directive to adopt what Johnston County, the only directive that we worked on, is what was sent in the board packet ahead of time from the meeting that we had with Mr. Parker and Mr. William Neighbors. And out of that, with the email that you all received, there were 5 items on that list. And Karen and I worked on that from the 12th and then to the 28th meeting. So those were the items
Those were the items that I thought we were going to add to what we had, and probably go ahead and get a motion to approve with those items
Right.
at that meeting. And I was kind of shocked that that's not what happened. And then I understand when William or Max made the comment about we hadn't compared our UDO with what the county's got, but we have compared it with Wake Forest and other UDOs. I think we were kind of missing the boat there, and we do need to compare. Now, if we can do that right here and not have to bring Withers back in to do that, I understand that we're a free service and they're going to charge, and I don't, if it was Wooten Company, they're going to charge for everything they do just like them. I've seen the list on both of them, but there's a breakdown somewhere that I think we need to know what we need to do. Are we going to do this as a board, or do you think you need to sit down with Dale Parkers and others,
Well, I think that's what we're asking y'all.
Right,
How do you want to
Right,
proceed?
how
Do
do
you
you-
want it to be a
Right.
board?
well, how about you telling me, do we need them right now to come in and be at our meetings to sit down with us? Or
well,
do you think we can do what you had been asked to do at our last meeting?
well, I don't, I think that they can help us, and with this, contract, it's a as-needed basis, so I think that because they worked on the proposed, development code for the last 15 months, that they have intimate knowledge of it. They, so I think that they are very much still at the table on this, but not in the sense that they are front and center as the lead consultant. I believe that we should have something in place that if we need to call on them for certain aspects of it, that it should be available to us to do that. But also the planning board, staff, this body, most certainly Dale Parker, or anyone else that represents the commercial or industrial community. I think, all play a part in that. And it should be a conversation that involves as many vested parties and vested interests for the town of Benson. And it would be nice to have, how you all would do you want us to tackle it at planning board meetings? Do you want us to create a new steering committee? I think Withers can support in areas that we may need them to support, and so that's why this contract is being brought forth on a as need on call basis, and so as far as the directive to look at what Johnson County, I've looked at their ordinance. I didn't know that was a directive to take what Johnston County
I
has.
don't want to take it, but I think we should have looked at it though, to compare.
Well, let me tell you what would be fine with me. I don't think we need to do any of that stuff. I think I would be happy as long as we've addressed Mr. Parker's concerns, because he's the industrial person that we're most likely going to deal with. And because in that diatribe y'all got, that went on and on, I know my main thing was that we make sure that we can compete with the people around us. Basically that's the county. Because I don't want ABC widget company to put their factory right here when they could have put it right here in Benson, put it right out of Benson because of something we got in the thing. So I think we just put a sentence in the UDO that said, for industrial applications, we will never be more stringent than Johnston County. If it's good enough for Johnston County, I don't see why it's not good enough for us. I don't see why we have to have something that's more restrictive.
I think what the concern is that you have this, whoever it is, they look at our UDO and, they get a cost by just looking at it. They don't really know Benson. Well, then they look at the county and they're like, it's going to be hundreds, $500,000, $600,000 cheaper to go to the county. I'm going with the county, and Benson don't even never know nothing about it. I think that's what we're worried about, because where we're located at, 2 interstates, we should be booming with commercial and industrial, and we're not. So I think that's what we're worried about.
Well said.
I'm not sure, I agree with you. I'm not sure if the development code is the stop be all to end or bring development, because now that we don't have the adopted one that we've worked on, we still have the one that we've been working under for
Right.
the last 15 years.
And even that one I've heard is bad for commercial and industrial.
So I just want to be clear on what you all would like for us to do. Do you want us to look at, keep the current code that we have and look at industrial standards for Johnston County and bring that to you to weigh? And then maybe adopt that into our code. I just need to know, clarity on how because I understand you're saying you want to be competitive.
Right.
You want, but what does that look? Do you want Dale Parker to, be front and center, review everything? We have a spot on the planning board, for the ETJ that he certainly can apply, and it can be, sit on that board and discuss it with other planning board members? Do you want to have a special task force or a survey? How do you want that to look, as we go forward to gather this information and bring it forth to you all for this particular section of the development code?
I'll answer that. Again, it's just for me, 1/6 of the board. I'd like to make sure we address his concerns, and we've already done that, I assume. And then I'd like to just put one sentence in the thing, said that in the industrial section, we'll never be more stringent than Johnston County. And you can go with Johnston County if you don't like that. And I don't see why that takes meetings and all kinds of money and everything like that. I'll put it in there and we'll do it done. I'll vote yes.
Aaron, and what he's saying, we know you have done your job, and everybody else has done their job. There's people that this board doesn't even know that sat down and spent hundreds of hours on this same project, on this UDO. I know our fire chief and also our inspectors, they have spent hundreds of hours on plans and stuff, these new subdivisions. I think we're there. I really think that the time's been put in and we're there, but I'm just like Max. Don't make a big deal out of it. I think
You don't have to write the whole thing you don't have to rewrite the
we
whole
don't
thing.
have to get them to come in and rewrite the whole thing. I think it was a great UDO, but there were some areas that we were not, maybe it was their fault, okay? I mean, you've been doing it for 15 months, and it seems like for the last 3 months is really when I took enough aggression to find out, because it was brought in front of this board about some of the ideas that were in there. Yeah, y'all had meetings, and it's my fault that I didn't go, because I had time. But nobody said, Will, I think you need to be at this meeting because we're fixing to do this right here with the UDO. Same thing with Dale Parker. I don't think we ought to sit down with anybody coming in this town just because it's Dale Parker or anybody else and change a bunch of stuff to suit Dale. But you got to understand, Dale is the one that has got the land and bringing the industry in, and I think that we should have had him on board earlier, and he could have helped guide us. But now that it's there, the 5 items, hey, the meeting in December, the 5 items, the UDO, you had already taken those things out. If you put that one little paragraph in it that we need to just make sure that we at least look at Johnson County. I'm not saying adopt Johnson County. I'm saying look at them. And if we are so far out of the sink to take a $40 million business that's coming in and they move 2 miles over so they don't have to be in our ETJ or in our part, I'm not for scrapping anything. I don't want to go through this anymore. I think they're there. Everybody's done their job.
And that's the industrial and the commercial, or just industrial?
Well, I agree with Dr. Rainer. And amend it and to what he said, and let's move on, because I don't see the need to go back through this again. Just be where you are and just make an amendment to what he said, and we move from there and close the deal.
Okay, so
If you add that type of wording, that type of language in it, then what kind of decisions can be made based on that? I think I'm kind of confused now.
that's the question that I'm pondering right now on how that could actually translate to a legal document that we have to enforce. I'm not 100% sure. From what I think I'm hearing is that maybe we can take what we had in December and strike, and maybe even go further, because we had, further conversation even about the changes that we made to the perimeter boundary buffer, and maybe strike that, as well as with the building design standards and everything that we had talked about at December 28th of what we had taken out, move forward without all of that, and then go back and look at specifically industrial standards that Johnston County has precisely compared, and see and pick out, look at what they have, bring it forth to see what we may like within that, and talk to Dale Parker and see what he thinks, and then bring it back to you all as a text amendment to the UDO.
The reason I disagree with that is because I want to be competitive with Johnston County, our competitor, our friends and our neighbors, and we love them all, but we're competitive with them. And we're fighting for this money. And so if Johnston County comes up, if we spend another $200,000 and redo it again, and we put exact words in the UDO, and then they come up with, they lower theirs, then we're not competitive again. So if we make that the minimum, if we just say that you can choose theirs or ours, I don't understand. And it might be, I say this every time, it might be a stupid idea. I'm full of stupid ideas, but I just need somebody to explain to me why that's a stupid idea.
I don't think it's a
Well, I'm not-
stupid
I'm not
idea.
being-
My first thoughts are, I looked at the legality of it.
That's
How
right.
do we do that?
Well, why would it be
Are
any-
we saying that we can, I don't know if we can apply Johnston without our interlocal governmental agreement. I'm not sure how all of the details of that would work. So, I mean, if that is what the board is expressing, most we can do is look at it to see how that would work.
So, two things, since you said my name, right? William has texted me, wanted to talk, and then he went out on a call, and he said he can't talk now, but he did mention that he thinks we should have a joint meeting with the planning board at the second meeting this month. So I'm speaking for him, but it's something he just sent me in a text. The second thing I'll say directly to the suggestion about putting this very simplistic sentence in there about sort of pinning it to the county's then current ordinances and saying whichever's less restrictive is what will apply, or you can elect to choose that. I don't think it's illegal, or I don't think it's legally improper, I guess, to do that. You could save a whole heck of a lot of trouble and say, we don't have a UDO, we just apply the county. So whatever the county says, we'd have to go through the same formality in adopting that as our UDO. We could say, essentially what you're saying then is whatever the county's is ours. The first concern I have is what happens when they change it. I'd have to look into this a little bit. I get the simplicity of it is sort of eloquent. Say whatever they do is what we agree to do. We pass a rule that says their rules are our rules. But when they change their rules, you did that, let's say you do that on January 16th, 2024. And then in March of this year, they change their rules.
They up there. They make it more stringent.
Well, let's say
With that too.
whether they go up or down or whatever they do,
That too.
if they change it, then do you have to go back and, number one, you're gonna have to monitor that, right? Because she's gonna have to know, the planning staff's gonna have to know what the county's rules are, because they're gonna have to apply those rules in the town.
Well, the county is working on their UDO right now, and in 2024, 2025, they're supposed to change their UDOs.
My concern
We're
is
not
if the
talking
county
about,
changes their UDO after you adopt theirs as making it applied or applying it to the ETJ and corporate limits of the town, if they subsequently change it, there's certainly a school of thought that you would then have to go back and re-adopt the change that they made with the same formality that is required as a text amendment. So I think that might be one sort of just, it's not a problem with it, it's just, it'll be a perpetual housekeeping measure, I guess. You have to always watch what the county's doing. Hey, the county changed a rule about setbacks or buffers or whatever. Since we have this rule that says we always apply what the county applies, or we give the people the option to apply, to elect to develop property under the county rules if they're less restrictive, and the county, and we did that in January of '24, and now it's August of '24, and since then the county's made 3 text amendments. I think there's certainly.
Then we can make our change with a text amendment.
We would have to go back and do a text amendment. So
And
again,
if it doesn't work out, if the simplicity makes it too complicated or makes it wrong, I know you guys, I present it that way, I get the slant, but y'all say, it's just a text amendment, you can just do a text amendment. We make sure the validity's here at the board and we have a public hearing, we do the same thing for that, except in reverse.
you're not wrong. No, you would, but would you have to perpetually go back and make text amendments?
I don't see how if you make that statement because whatever they say, if they change their UDO to say it's all free, then we'd have to make a text amendment that say we're taking ours back.
Well, if you make your rules, if you say that whatever the county's rules are rules, but then the county changes their rules, you have to change your rules through that text amendment process with the public hearing.
Remember, the rule would say we take the list stringent of which one they got, either ours or theirs. So,
I'm talking about if they subsequently change it from the time you adopt their rules.
well, if they change it forever, it doesn't matter. It's still whatever's less stringent, ours or theirs. And if they get too lax where we don't like it, we can always make a text amendment and change it.
And what if, let's say, for a heavy industrial, ours is approved by special use permit, or the county is approved by special use permit or conditional zoning, and those standards are site-specific.
I'm talking about, and maybe that's something that you guys that understand this stuff way better than me, because, again, I don't know what I'm talking about. But maybe you could say, well, it could apply to this, but not that. It could apply to buffers, and it could apply to this, and it could apply to things that make sense, that make us competitive or not competitive, and then things like zoning requirements, stuff like that. We leave that out.
How long would it take to go through Johnston County UDO and compare it to ours?
Specific, just for
industrial and stuff like that.
just for industrial, wouldn't take long. Theirs isn't 500 pages, or it wouldn't take long. We could have something at the next board meeting. I would say that, or next month. I would say next month, just at February's meeting.
I'm not trying to go by their thing. I just want to be competitive.
That's what I'm saying, look at it and to see if we are. And some of the things we're not.
And I'll look into it. I've never heard of a municipality doing that. I'm saying we just apply
We
with
make
county
national
plan.
news.
Well, trailblazers, right?
Well, this is a side comment. The mayor's meeting last week, we spent the whole night, with the exception when we ate, on this subject. Everybody has got the same problems. They're all different. And somebody made the comment, why don't we get the Johnson County one and see what it looks like? Nobody in there had ever seen Johnson County's. And I thought that's what we were going to do here is look at Johnson County and see how it compares to what we've been given, and then come back and report as to what we're going to do. There's no information here to make a decision on.
I mean, if you're saying that can be done in the next board meeting and the
Not
planning?
next week, but she's
February.
saying
February?
when she said next board meeting, she.
Oh, okay.
Right,
I
because
was like, that's next
I'm
week.
off on the day. I know we pushed them this meeting. So
But February.
in
I mean,
February,
that's what everybody wants to do. I mean,
you would like to see what industrial
yeah.
standards,
Standards,
specifically should I narrow it down to the items that we struck from the draft UDO as far as perimeter for buffering, screening, building design standards? Are those the things that
those
you want
parking lot standards and stuff like that.
Metal buildings.
General development standards.
Yeah.
For industrial, because some of it, it may be just non-residential, but I'll look at everything that they have that relates to non-residential
Yeah, because I mean,
development standards.
as far as like the UDO with residential standards, I don't think anybody's got a problem with what was presented. Anything like that.
You have what you need?
Yes.
What about the Withers contract?
Right, that was my next question. What
I make a
about
motion that we
Withers?
accept the Withers Tribunal contract.
And you would not have to get Withers involved in this portion, just looking at the counties.
No.
Okay.
It'll be,
Yeah.
This
we'll
would
be
be
deciding
something
when
that I
we
could-
call them, right?
Right, this is more so for those more in-depth, more, more
Okay.
research, more consultation with experts in the planning field that work on development codes in many municipalities and things like that. So get their expert opinion, I think is what they would be very useful for.
I think it's wise because just for my part, if Aaron works on this with staff, and then I've met with Aaron since the last meeting, and we discussed there might be, some of this might be she and I and some of the other staff that are involved in it, working on it for the language. But if this comes back to the either planning board and board, ultimately this board says, we like that, this change, that change. I said to several of the board members after the meeting last week, or last time, I think you're pretty close. There's just some tweaks you really need to make here. It's kind of like, you've got a race car you've built and it runs, but it's not quite right yet. So if you get, I think having Withers involved is a good thing. Is once you get to kind of your language and some tweaks, then you kind of need to give that back to Withers and say, now you've got this old document, incorporate that back in, make it flow and cross-reference and sort of technically make the document work with these tweaks and changes that we've agreed on, and what time they spend in that would be well worth it.
Now, you said as far as what you're gonna be looking at is that the whole UDO is 500 pages, not that particular spot, correct?
Right, no, that's what I'm saying, I don't believe Johnson County's is 500 pages,
believe it.
that I have to go through their entire,
How-
it's not extensive, and, because we probably wouldn't be trying to model after them if it was, but it shouldn't, I can go in and look at theirs and see specifically, and bring that to you and highlight what they have versus what we have.
Okay. I didn't know how hard it would be, like, I mean, if you need some of us to help you out or whatever, but I didn't know how hard it would be just to email it to us or send it to us. That way we can review it, way before the meeting.
Sure, yes, I can do that. I can email you, they have it on their website.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I can do it
It's
at
broken
home.
down even by, what we were hoping to get to as well is to have our development code broken down by section that you can click on instead of scrolling through one
Right.
large PDF. So you can go to specifically what you're looking for within their, and I've looked at it, so I kind of know where to look, and
Okay.
and I can most certainly do that, and maybe a chart if
Do you
that.
have what you need now?
I believe so.
You got to vote on Withers.
Oh, and the Withers, yes.
I don't know. Commissioner Rayner said I made a motion, so y'all make of
You have to make
that.
a motion? Anybody made a motion yet?
No.
I'll make a motion that we accept the as needed contract. All intended is that we won't use them, we'll figure it out ourselves.
I think we'll need them for the final.
Well, yeah, but it won't be for any long-winded.
Yeah, it won't be for the long, it'll just be for the final.
To bring back and get get it in there. And
And we'll give you what
Got a
you
motion.
need, right,
All right.
with them.
What was the motion, Doc?
accept
That we accept the Withers Ravenel on call contract, whatever you call it, and expect it not to be come anywhere close to $12,000.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right.
thank you.
Next thing, consider approval of updated fee schedule.
So we just have 2 changes on the fee schedule tonight. With the passing of the electric ordinance, we needed to add an assessment fee because now Glenn's going to have to actually go to the site, see the plans, figure out how much it's going to cost if, if they're going to use our services, if they're going to use Lee Electric services. This assessment fee is the same as our water assessment fee. It's $100. So that's been added. And then Matt is asking to increase the tournament fee for the fields from $250 to $300 per day per field. And that includes field prep and lights. So those are the only 2 changes in the fee schedule.
Any questions of Kim?
You need a
I'll
motion.
entertain a motion.
I do.
I'll make that motion, we approve.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no.
The next.
Consider the on-call contract.
The next thing, we've had an on-call contract for concrete. Y'all know, we started doing that years ago in case we needed them. We have a set price throughout the year. And I apologize, I should have brought this when I did the mowing contract, but mowing was kind of what we were focusing on at the time. But I have talked with Denning, Blake Denning Contract and LLC. He's the one that's held the contract for this period, and he also had it for last period. He is fine with continuing on for 2024, but he is asking for that 5% increase that we had written in the contract. They're eligible to go up 5%, I want to say for 3 years on the on-call concrete. So on the backside, you had his 2023 bid. Total was $63,525. The 2024 with the 5% increase is $66,701.25. We only use this if we absolutely need it. What we try to do is we get a list together and then we send them out and do all of it so it reduces the mobilization cost. But he has come in handy like with the work at the Grove. What we were able to use our own call contract as opposed to putting it out for bid and getting what it was it costs right now. So.
Who approves these when they're going to pour cement? Who approves that?
Jeremy typically contacts. Jeremy will contact him when he needs it.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion to approve.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Project ordinance for state appropriation 1053.
I don't have it in here. I was
Yes,
looking
you-
for it. Oh, you don't have it? I'm sorry. We've got state funding for the L-shaped building at the fire department. It's $1.8 million, and so we need to do a budget amendment, or we need to do a project ordinance for that. Jay has been working with the state. It does appear that they're going to give us that money up front as opposed to how the other state appropriations have been going, but we need to have an account specified for that. And so Jay is actually setting up meetings right now with some stakeholders department heads that could be potentially impacted by that L-shaped building, some of our nonprofit organizations that utilize that building to kind of figure out what we're going to do. You know, we've kind of had an idea of having a community center over there, maybe moving Parks and Rec potentially. So we're going to have those conversations internally, and then he's going to come to you guys and present. But for this stage of it, we know we have the money, so we need to go ahead and have an account set up for it when it does come.
Anybody have any questions of Kim?
So
I'll
an
entertain a
account,
motion.
account set up for it, that means a number.
Account number, yeah, a project number, yeah, a
Project
fund,
number.
a fund.
But the monies go,
In the normal bank account, we would,
General fund.
we account for it through the budget, or through that budget.
No matching, no nothing.
No, this was a state appropriation.
I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Consider the encroachment that the encroachment agreement with Cameco Utilities.
Okay, this one's on me. This is a Camco track which recently annexed into the town. This is a standard form. You've approved this several times with DOT to encroach in their right-of-way to run water lines and electric lines in their right-of-way or underneath their right-of-way. Well, underneath and over. Essentially, you have to just maintain them and as per DOT guidelines. If you want to run those lines to that new track that we've annexed, which we need to do, then we have to sign DOT's encroachment agreement, and that's what's before you.
Do we need to vote on anything?
I would vote to approve it. It's a minor thing. Like I said, you approve a lot of them. I talked with Kim. I said it's best to go ahead and have a brief discussion on it and then actually have the board vote. So yes.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve the encroachment agreement with DOT for the Camco Utilities.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Consider approval of ordinance 012024. DOT maintain road closure.
Okay, you have to do this every year. I have to send it in to DOT. It's for, anytime we need to close one of their roads, so I just need to, have a motion to approve the ordinance.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the ordinance for, DOT to maintain the road closures for any special events. For 2024?
Yeah.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Town manager's report.
If you have any questions, let me know. I just want to remind everybody that the roundabout will start, they should be here by January 30th, and it will be a 60-day closure. Just want to make that known again. They, I think, have already started putting some stuff out there, but they will be here by January 30th, and that's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Are you going to cover anything on the Wooten engineering report?
Not unless you have any questions.
Town manager.
Lawyer?
I noticed that the contract for Spectrum was up December the 31st.
I think it just,
And
you and I talked about it.
they've got a new count on the poles.
Yeah, I've already sent them the new invoice.
Have you sent them the invoice for the
Yep.
new amount?
Yes, sir.
Well, that contract, that 20-year contract has run out. We need to decide what that looks like.
Yeah, we've talked, Ike and I have talked about that for a few years now. I think what we've come up with in the past, it automatically renews, but I'll let you
I
speak to
believe,
it.
I don't have it right in front of me. I probably can pull it up real quick, but I believe it auto renews for year to year.
Well, the reason I'm bringing it up is that if these people that's been measuring all the lines in town are truly measuring it to put an underground lines in, then what about the poles? Do
That-
we still get money for the poles?
We've had conversation, so Lumos is the company that's gonna do the poles. It's gonna be some above ground. Cloudwise is gonna be underground. Lumos actually contacted Aaron today to talk about a pre-construction meeting, but we've already had conversations with them. They know what the pole amount is. So whatever poles they have to utilize, they're gonna have to pay us for, just like Spectrum does.
They wouldn't tell me who they were, so I called the police. And they brought their manager out there to talk to the police, and found out, that's what they were doing. I thought they were taking pictures of our lines, and I wouldn't want to do that. Okay, town commissioners, Max.
Ooh, just one question. So, Kim, did you find out anything about the poll on Kennedy Circle?
I'm so sorry, I did not get a chance to do that today. It was a little bit of a hectic day, but I will get it tomorrow. I have some time tomorrow afternoon.
That's
I'll get it done.
Yeah, I want to reverse. I want
Yeah.
to say one thing. I want to congratulate our fellow commissioners, Cassandra Stack, on her big honor of
Yes.
Good, big honor.
Thank you. Thank you, fellow board members.
There's no age limit on it. Maxine,
No.
Will?
No, not it. Well, the Parish Drive, done, stop sign or four-way stops. Kim got back in touch with me and said the guy from DOT that we had talked to, or she had talked to, was coming to, look at it. But we've had, since our meeting, we've had 2 wrecks there. And, I'm just wondering, it's not gonna cost the town anything. DOT has switched people and it's been put off a little bit more. Glenn can go down there and change the light from a blinking red to red caution, red on both sides, and we've got the signs, I understand, that we could go ahead and try it. It's a dangerous intersection. It happens, gets real close every single day and everybody sees it. And if it doesn't work, DOT really has no control over that because that's not a state maintained highway. We can take them down if it causes more trouble than it's worth. I think we ought to move forward on that and go ahead and put something up. Another thing, that intersection on Main and Dunn Street right there, it's not marked. You can't, you've got a turning lane there that turns you to the left. It's not marked. All your white lines, all your arrows, everything is gone there. And on both sides of the curb, which I was told back when I was on the board before by Matt Zapp, that the area right there at this crossways were going to be fixed. But the only thing they had ever done is put some gravel in, and now the curb is about that deep where you turn in to go to Food Line off Main Street. If you turn in there, and you will bump because you don't know where a line is. I don't know who paints the lines there, but it's kind of a bad area.
Probably us.
The line on Dunn or the lines
Line
on
on
Dunn?
Dunn,
Okay,
not Main.
that's us. We can do that.
They can look at it and see where it used to be, but I don't think anything's really been done there. And also the curb is on both sides. Is that us?
Yeah.
That would be DOT, wouldn't it? 'Cause
I
it's
think
falling
on
down
Dunn's-
right away.
I think on Dunn it's us.
It was,
On Main Street, it's falling the right
Main
away.
Street is that, yeah, it's DOT, but I think,
That's what he's talking
they,
about.
Yeah.
they
Well,
said,
it's where
yeah,
it
on Main, well,
turns.
where you turn.
It's the corner
Off
of Main
Main.
and Dunn.
mm-hmm.
But at the time, they said, oh, we'll probably put a roundabout here and that'll take care of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not doing that there.
That'd be all DOT.
Yeah, I can, maybe, it may have been one of the ones on our list for them to fix for ADA compliance too. I'll double check.
Okay.
And that they just haven't done yet. They were gonna do our ADA compliance list with, Smithfield. And so they were gonna put it out for bid and let it at the same time. So I'll touch base and see where they are.
But we did some around town until the money ran out.
We have done some, we'll do some as we need to do some work on like an intersection, they will put it back as ADA. But we sent a list to DOT some months back, and it included DOT and some of our own that needed to be done.
Well, that would be DOT because it's really on Main Street.
Mhm.
The sidewalk's coming off and you're turning there,
Mhm.
and it's just, it's real obvious.
I'll check on that.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? I'll entertain a motion to go in closed session.
I made that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We'll take a 10-minute break, 5-minute break.
Don't wait, it's gonna take 10 minutes.